Honestly, I didn't go into that night expecting anything out of the ordinary. There weren't any candles, no big surprises waiting for me. All I really wanted was to be near my wife, to feel like we still had that connection, like we were still us. We sat down for dinner, just like we always did. I was the one who cooked, but she barely touched her food. After we finished, we moved over to the couch, and I tried to pull her close. She just shook her head a little and said softly, "Not tonight," while rubbing her forehead. "I've had a headache all day." I just nodded and told her it was fine, no big deal. The next evening rolled around, and it was the same story, just a different excuse. "I'm not really in the mood, Tom. Work's been crazy lately." Then it was, "I'm tired. My stomach's acting up." And another time, "Do we have to talk about this every single time?" It wasn't just a rough patch. This had been our reality for months, 3, maybe 4. I honestly lost track after a while. One night, I finally worked up the nerve to ask, trying to keep my voice gentle, "Hey, is everything okay? It just feels like we've been kind of distant." She didn't answer right away, just kept scrolling through her phone. After a moment, she let out a sigh and said, "You're overthinking again. Can't we just have a quiet night without turning it into a big deal?" I didn't push back. I let it go, like I always did. But then, 2 days later, on a Saturday morning, she called me into the living room like she had something important to share. She was already dressed, sitting at the table with her laptop open in front of her. "I've been thinking about how things have been off between us," she said. "So, I came up with something that might help." She turned her laptop so I could see the screen. There it was, a spreadsheet titled, "Intimacy Schedule Final.xlsx. I'm not making that up. That was the actual name. There were 3 tabs, weekly schedule, rules, and questions. I clicked on the first tab. Wednesdays, 10 to 10:15 p.m. That was the whole schedule. Just once a week, for 15 minutes. The rules tab spelled out things like, "Don't touch my hair, no talking afterward, don't try to change the time, stick to the schedule." And under the questions tab, the very first line was, "Can I ask for extra time?" The answer, in bold, was, "No." She gave me a small smile, like she'd really thought this through. This way, there's no confusion. You'll know what to expect, and I won't feel pressured. It just makes things simpler for both of us. I didn't know how to respond. It felt like I was being handed a list of detention rules, or like I was just a guest in my own marriage. But the worst part? I nodded and said, "Yeah, sure. If this helps, let's try it." And just like that, I became another item on her schedule. At first, I tried to convince myself this could actually work. The spreadsheet felt cold and kind of robotic, but at least we weren't having the same arguments over and over. Ava stopped dodging me with excuses, and I stopped feeling like I was bothering her just by wanting to be close. It wasn't perfect. Honestly, it wasn't even close to normal, but it was something. So, I kept telling myself to be grateful, that maybe this was a step in the right direction, even if I didn't really believe it. But then Ava started to change, not just with me, but in general. She began waking up earlier, staying up later. Out of nowhere, she got really into fitness again. She joined a new gym across town, one with a juice bar, spa rooms, and a monthly fee that made me do a double take. I still remember the first time she came home after a workout. Her skin was flushed, she looked energized in a way I hadn't seen in ages. Her hair was pulled back, earbuds still in, and she was wearing leggings that looked brand new. "That gym is incredible," she said, tossing her keys on the counter. "Way better than that old, dusty place we used to go to." Used to go. Past tense. I just smiled and nodded, but something inside me felt off. Later that week, she came back from brunch with her coworkers, wearing lipstick I didn't recognize and carrying a fancy little gift bag. I tried to sound casual when I asked, "What's that?" She replied, "Oh, just some moisturizer one of the girls swears by. We ended up checking out that new skincare place downtown. I wanted to take her word for it. I really did, but as she walked away that day, I happened to notice the bag still had a gift receipt tucked inside. And the moisturizer? It was actually a men's brand. I kept quiet about it. After that, I started picking up on small things, subtle changes. She began keeping her phone turned away from me more often, and suddenly, all her notifications were set to silent. I'd hear her laugh while texting, quick, excited little laughs that didn't sound anything like the way she used to laugh with me. Whenever I asked what was so funny, she'd just shrug and say, "Oh, it's just the group chat, work memes and stuff. You wouldn't get it." She started heading out to the gym earlier in the mornings and coming home later than before. One time, I offered to give her a ride, just to be helpful, but she shot me down so fast it caught me off guard. "No, Tom, seriously. I don't want you waiting around for me. That's awkward. The gym is my me time." I nodded, like I always did, but the space between us just kept getting wider. Sure, we had a schedule now, but we barely spoke, barely touched. She hardly even looked at me unless she needed something. The one time I tried to bring it up again, she let out a heavy sigh and said, "Tom, I told you we needed some structure. You said you were fine with it. Please don't start making me feel guilty about this." That completely shut me down. That night, I lay there watching her sleep next to me, looking peaceful and out of reach. For the first time in years, I felt like a stranger in my own bed. I never wanted to be the kind of husband who snoops around. I didn't want to question every little thing she said or keep track of how long she was gone, or what time her workouts ended, or how often she changed her passwords. But when you're living in a house that's gone quiet, your mind starts to get loud. It all started with a receipt. I wasn't searching for anything, I was just cleaning up the kitchen, tossing out trash. Out of habit, I reached into her coat pocket, which she'd left draped over a chair, and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. It was from a small jewelry shop downtown, a place we'd never visited together. One line jumped out at me, "Gold bracelet, $865. I just stared at it. The date was 3 days ago, a Thursday, her usual, coffee after the gym, day. The name on the card was hers. I waited, thinking maybe she'd mention it, maybe she'd show me and say, "Look what I bought myself." But she never did. Days went by, and she kept wearing her same old watch. No bracelet. It didn't add up. Later that week, I happened to walk past the bathroom while she was inside, talking on the phone. Her voice was low but animated. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I caught a few words. "No, I told him it was just skincare." "Yeah." He didn't ask much. Then I heard her laugh, soft and familiar, but it wasn't for me. When I walked back through the hallway, she came out a minute later like nothing had happened. I smiled at her. She smiled back, bright, perfect, but it felt fake. Another time, I offered to pick her up after the gym. She hesitated, then asked, "Why? You don't need to go out of your way." I told her it was no trouble, that I'd be nearby anyway. She shot back, "Tom, I go there to unwind. I don't need someone sitting in the parking lot staring at the clock." Her voice was sharp, almost defensive, not tired or stressed, just irritated. I backed off again, but by then, I was starting to see the patterns, the little cracks in her stories. Like how her workouts suddenly stretched to 2 hours, or how she'd say she was too sore for our scheduled time together, even though she'd come home laughing and glowing. Or how she started locking her phone before heading to the shower, something she never used to do. And the thing that really got to me? She started wearing perfume again. Not the one I gave her for our anniversary, but a new scent, stronger, with vanilla and musk. It was bold, not subtle. She'd even put it on before going to the gym. Who wears designer perfume to sweat it out on a treadmill? Nobody. Unless maybe they're not really going there to work out. I felt like I was slowly drowning, right there in plain sight. Every day, I sank a little deeper. Every smile she gave that wasn't meant for me felt like another gulp of water in my lungs. And still, I kept my mouth shut, that a part of me still clung to the hope that maybe I was just imagining things. I wasn't ready to face the truth, not really. I knew deep down that the second I asked the question out loud, I wouldn't be able to take back whatever answer I got. But the truth was coming for me, whether I wanted it or not. I could feel it building, and I knew it wouldn't be some quiet confession, it was going to hit me hard, probably with a smile on her face. It happened on a Sunday morning. Ava was in the shower, music blasting so loud it echoed through the whole bathroom. I was just looking for the TV remote, thinking maybe she'd left it in the bedroom. That's when I saw her phone, sitting unlocked on the bed. As I walked in, the screen lit up, and a message preview popped up like it was nothing. Travis can't stop thinking about Friday. When can I see you again? Then, right after, another one, you looked amazing in that blue thing. He has no idea, does he? My heart started pounding so hard it felt like it was trying to break out of my chest. Before I even realized what I was doing, my hands reached for her phone. It was already open to their conversation, she hadn't even bothered to close it. There were dozens of messages, all flirty and intimate, like they didn't have a care in the world. He still thinks I'm going to the gym. It's honestly sad. LOL, you're a legend. I literally made a spreadsheet for him so I can keep him out of the way. That's cold but hot. I kept scrolling, my stomach twisting tighter with every message. There were photos, too. One of her in that same blue outfit I thought she bought for the gym. Another, blurry, looked like it was taken in a hotel room mirror, with him standing behind her, half in the frame. She'd even sent a voice message. I couldn't bring myself to play it, but the text underneath said, "You make me feel alive again." Not like I'm babysitting a roommate. A roommate. That's what I'd become to her. I just stood there, holding her phone, staring at this version of my wife I didn't even recognize, not just cheating, but making fun of me behind my back. Eventually, I put the phone back exactly where I found it. A few minutes later, she came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, humming to herself. She smiled at me, that same smile I used to think was just for me. "Hey," she said, "want to make pancakes or just do coffee?" I looked at her, really looked, and realized I was looking at a stranger. "Just coffee," I told her. "I'm not that hungry." That was a lie. I was starving, but not for food. I was hungry for answers, for some self-respect, maybe even for a little payback. And I was done pretending I didn't know what was going on. The next morning, I woke up before the sun, earlier than I usually do. Ava was still asleep next to me, curled up with her back to me, breathing slow and steady, peaceful as if she didn't have a single worry in the world. I lay there for a while, staring at the ceiling, just thinking. Then I got up quietly, careful not to wake her. There were no more what-ifs, no more maybe I'm wrong. I'd seen it all, read every word. I wasn't about to let her twist things around or make me doubt what I knew. There would be no gaslighting, no, you misunderstood. Not this time. I made myself some coffee, sat down with my laptop and started backing everything up. First step, I synced her phone to my laptop using our family cloud account. She'd forgotten to turn it off months ago, probably never thought I'd use it. In 5 minutes, I had everything, texts, photos, call logs, even her location history. I made a folder and called it Ava Truth. Inside, I saved screenshots of her messages with Travis, including the ones where they joked about me, the hotel confirmations, and the timestamps that lined up perfectly with her supposed gym sessions. I even found a selfie she'd sent him from our bedroom, my pillow in the background. Next, I called a lawyer. I didn't go into details over the phone, just asked for a private consultation and said I had something sensitive to discuss, and that I'd bring documentation. They set me up for Thursday. After that, I opened a checking account in my own name, just for me, and quietly started redirecting part of my paycheck there. Ava handled most of our joint bills, and I didn't want her catching on to what I was doing, that I went ahead and checked on the status of our house, just to be sure. Half in her name, half in mine. I knew that wouldn't last much longer. After that, I moved on to step 4, playing my role. I didn't let on that anything was different. I kept bringing home groceries, asked her about her day, even offered to pick up dinner from that Thai place she liked so much. She'd smile at me like everything was perfectly normal. One time, she even said, "You've been in a good mood lately," her voice almost suspicious. I just grinned and told her, "Guess I finally found some balance." She bought it, no questions asked. Of course she did, she still thought she was the smartest person in the room. Meanwhile, every day, I felt myself getting stronger. Not angrier, exactly, just sharper, more focused. I started noticing things I used to let slide, like how she only really laughed when she was on her phone, or how she'd tense up if she had to leave the room with it, or how the only time she touched me was on Wednesdays at 10 p.m., right on schedule. That Wednesday, I almost skipped our appointment, but I went through with it. I followed the routine, 15 minutes, no eye contact, no talking afterward. When it was over, she rolled over and said, "Thanks for being so understanding, Tom." That's when it really hit me. She didn't feel guilty at all. She just felt organized, like I was another item to check off her to-do list. So I smiled and said, "Of course, you know me. Good old reliable Tom." She didn't even notice the edge in my voice. She had no clue. But by then, the countdown had already started. It all came to a head on a Thursday, 2 weeks after I'd found those messages. By then, I'd already met with the lawyer, set up my own account, and backed up every bit of evidence. Now it was time for the part one was most nervous about, and, if I'm honest, a little excited for. I didn't want some petty revenge that would fade overnight. I wanted something Ava couldn't ignore, couldn't talk her way out of, couldn't control. So, I invited her parents over for dinner. That's right, her parents. She hadn't seen them in months, always said they were too judgmental, too old-fashioned. But they'd always liked me. Her mom texted back right away, "We'd love to. So nice of you to invite us, Tom." I told Ava about it 2 days before. She looked surprised. "My parents? Why?" "Just felt like reconnecting," I said. "It's been a while." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, yeah, that's actually kind of sweet." She even put in a little extra effort, curled her hair, put on some makeup. All for show, of course. That evening, I cooked dinner, set the table, even lit some candles. Her mom always liked a cozy atmosphere. Everything looked just right, which made what I was about to do even more satisfying. We sat down, made small talk, and I poured everyone a glass of wine. Ava kept flashing that hostess smile, the one that never quite reached her eyes. After the first course, her dad asked how we were doing. Just a simple question, nothing loaded. But I looked straight at Ava and said, "Actually, there's something I'd like to share with everyone." She froze, fork halfway to her mouth. "Tom," she said quietly, "what are you?" "It'll just take a minute." I reached under my chair and pulled out a thick folder, neatly labeled so there'd be no confusion. Her parents looked puzzled. Ava's face went completely blank. I handed the folder to her father first. "I thought you both deserved to know what's really been happening in your daughter's marriage," I said, keeping my voice steady. He opened it and started flipping through, screenshots, messages, photos, dates, a whole timeline of betrayal. Her betrayal. Her mother gasped. Ava shot up from her chair so fast it nearly tipped over. "Are you out of your mind?" she snapped. "This is private." "Was it?" I replied. "Because it sure didn't feel private when you were laughing about me in someone else's bed." She looked at her parents, then back at me. Tom, please. Can we talk about this in private? No, I said, standing up now. You made it public the moment you turned me into a joke. Her dad closed the folder, staring at his daughter like he didn't even know her. Her mom whispered, Ava, how could you? For a second, Ava's face crumpled. Just a second. Then the anger took over. You had no right to go through my messages, she snapped at me, her voice sharp and shaking. I just looked at her and said, and you had no right to turn our marriage into a spreadsheet. The room went dead quiet. Even the wine glasses seemed to freeze, like they were waiting to see what would happen next. I turned to her parents and spoke calmly. I'll be filing for divorce next week. I've already moved half of our joint money into a separate account. Everything's above board, legal, and fair. I just wanted you to hear it from me first. Then I looked back at Ava. You can keep your schedule, Ava. I'm done being a part of it. I grabbed my jacket and walked out. She didn't come after me, not this time. That night, I didn't go home. I didn't even bother checking my phone. I checked into a small hotel on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, just a quiet room with a firm bed and air that didn't carry the echo of someone else's lies. For the first time in what felt like forever, I actually slept. Not peacefully, but deeply. When I woke up the next morning, I saw 9 missed calls on my phone. 5 from Ava, 4 from a number I recognized right away, her mother's. No texts, no apologies, just silence and the heavy weight of everything left unsaid. I didn't call anyone back. The following week, my lawyer and I filed the divorce papers. It was all straightforward, irreconcilable differences, nothing messy. I didn't go after her for revenge. I didn't yell or accuse. I just walked away the right way. I think that made it even harder for her, no big blow-up, no drama she could twist to her advantage. Just the truth, laid out in black and white, and a man who'd finally had enough. Her reputation didn't survive the aftermath. I heard she tried to smooth things over with her parents first, but it didn't go well. A few days later, her mom sent me a message. Just one line, I'm so sorry for what she did. If you ever need anything, we're here. That hit me harder than I expected. I never wrote back. I honestly didn't know what to say. Then came the fallout at her job. I never meant for any of it to go public, but when your affair partner is a coworker, yeah, I found that out later, and you're using company time and email to set up hotel meetups and swap nudes like a couple of reckless teenagers, well, things have a way of getting out. HR got involved pretty quick. Someone forwarded the wrong message chain, or maybe the right one, depending on how you look at it. I had nothing to do with it. But the end result? Travis got fired. Ava was put on unpaid leave while they did an internal review. I heard about it through a friend of a friend who worked in the same building. Corporate America doesn't care who you're sleeping with until you're dumb enough to put it all in writing on a company laptop. 2 weeks later, Ava tried calling me again, then sent a text, "Can we talk?" Just once. No apology, no explanation, just her trying to steer the conversation, like always. I left it on read. That same night, there was a knock at my door. It wasn't her. It was a delivery guy with a big box, no note. Inside, I found a cardboard folder, my old wedding ring, a watch I'd lost, one of my college sweatshirts, and the spreadsheet, printed out, highlighted, covered in notes. She'd scribbled something at the bottom of the last page. I thought I was being clever. I didn't realize I was being cruel. I stared at that line for a long time, then folded the page in half and fed it to the shredder. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. A few days later, I changed my number, closed out the old joint accounts, and started seeing a therapist, not because I was broken, but because I didn't want her to be the one who defined me. After everything, I was finally starting to rebuild, quietly, slowly, but for real this time.